Klamath River is what brings us life. We're at Ishipishi Falls, down here dip netting, traditional Karuk way of fishing, at our sacred ceremonial fishing spot. And very fortunate there's salmon here this year. This year, I'm actually living, where some years you don't feel like it so much when the fish ain't here and you're fish people. Salmon signifies our ceremonies. It signifies what time of year it is. Karuk people believe that if the salmon are no longer in the river, humans are no longer on the land. And they put the dams in, it blocked off hundreds of miles of the pristine habitat that our salmon needed.
This is the largest river restoration and dam removal project that's ever been undertaken. The Yurok tribe, they've got a very large and robust fisheries construction division that's going to be a great resource when it's time to start building the physical restoration of the project. The Karuk tribe has an amazing fisheries department, and they're helping us identify opportunities for protection of fisheries resources during dam removal. The Klamath tribes in the upper basin have a world-class water quality laboratory, and we've entered into a partnership with them to monitor the evolution of poor water quality to improved water quality over the course of the project. We're looking at about 2,200 acres of restoration between the 4 reservoirs. You can imagine the complexities that come along with an undertaking like this. We're gonna be able to come out here and see salmon in a place where they haven't been in over 100 years.
We're not just restoring this earth or this ground, we're restoring our people as well.
We started planning this effort over 5 years ago. And since that time, we've been partnered up with the Yurok tribe. First on planning the effort, then through a seed collection process. The seed collection program included 99 species collected over the Klamath watershed. Those seeds were then sent to farms who grew those seeds into plants, who harvested those seeds and planted more plants. 3 million seeds that were collected during that seed collection process were then taken to these farms where they were grown into nearly 20 billion seeds. Some of these seed propagation fields were just massive. Those seeds were then brought together and mixed into tailor-made seed mixes for different areas within the different reservoirs. Drawdown started on January 11th, and the Yurok seeding crew was out to work 2 days later.
You know, as a Native American, this is so vital for our people and our culture and just, you know, our whole environment. We start healing the land, and the people start healing too in return, you know. It's full circle stuff.
Seeding was just the start. The next phase included physically planting live trees, shrubs, and herbaceous plugs to jumpstart the growth of those species.
We're planting about 80,000 plants, and then in the future we'll do more and more until we've planted at least 250 to 300,000.
We're out here at Jenny Creek, and we're working on assisted sediment evacuation. Jenny Creek being the largest tributary to the Klamath River upstream of Iron Gate Dam before you get into the big rivers in the upper basin. Over time, since the reservoir was put in place back in the 60s, Jenny Creek has dumped just a massive amount of sand, gravel, cobble, boulders right here in what we call the Jenny Creek Delta. As the water from the creek enters the former reservoir footprint.
And so the activity that we're working on is kind of threefold. One, find the former channel of Jenny Creek, because right now the water is just flowing over these historic delta deposits, not necessarily in the pre-reservoir channel. Two, beginning the grading of the floodplain to promote connection of the creek to its eventual post-restoration floodplain. And three, it turns out that all the sediments that have been deposited here in these deltas, this one in particular, are really high quality sand, gravel, and cobble material that are very beneficial to the aquatic ecosystem of the Klamath River. So we're really putting this material back in the river as a benefit to the Klamath River and a benefit to the future habitat restoration that'll happen here on Jenny Creek. This assisted sediment evacuation activity is the first major earth-moving step towards restoring these tributaries in these former reservoir footprints. These massive accumulations of sediment at these tributary deltas, where they've dumped all this sediment over the past number of decades, is just kind of in the way and would, if left alone, really inhibit the formation of a stable yet dynamic floodplain stream system. If left to its own devices, the streams and creeks through these delta deposits would really become and stay unstable canyon streams with no floodplains, with high sediment loads and no habitat. Our original plan out here was to hand seed the entire reservoir footprint. We've always recognized that hand seeding is the most efficient way or effective way to get complete coverage of the ground surface, and it accounts for, the nooks and crannies around rocks and logs and things like that. But we've been blessed with rain this spring, and that rain has kept the reservoir sediments moist to the point where it's just not safe to access. So the helicopter will be here to spread seed in those areas where the hand crews were not able to get to put that native seed mix down. We waited, I could say, with bated breath for about 2 weeks, and then we started to see those first little shoots coming up. And those first little shoots turned into bigger and bigger plants, and soon we had carpets of yellow and green and orange across portions of these former reservoir footprints. In an area that's fairly devoid of pollinator habitat, we did focus a lot of our revegetation effort on reestablishing pollinator species to bring back that keystone insect community that will overall even help plant recovery in and of itself. The whole point of our first round of revegetation, of seeding and planting, was to lay the foundation upon which a healthy ecosystem will be rebuilt. We're here on Spencer Creek for the first day of helicopter wood placement. And this large wood will immediately start to provide benefits to the stream, including direct habitat for fish and insects, but also some sediment sorting, some hydraulic forcing for erosional and depositional processes to promote suitable fish passage conditions from the main stem up through these restored reaches into the reaches of tributary upstream of the former reservoir footprints, where that high quality habitat already exists and is just waiting for those fish to return. Spencer Creek is just one of 5 priority tributaries on the Lower Klamath project. The other tributaries include Beaver Creek in the Copco Reservoir footprint, Jenny Creek, Camp Creek, and Scotch Creek, all in the former Iron Gate Reservoir footprint. A more intense or more hands-on approach to restoration was chosen for these priority restoration tributaries based on the cold water perennial flow that they provide throughout the year that benefits fish life cycles, and the availability of upstream habitat for the fish that this project is meant to benefit: salmon, steelhead, Pacific lamprey.
All right, day 3, Camp Creek here. Past 2 days went great. Hoping to get finished up today. We're gonna put about 55 logs out here in Camp Creek.
Okay, coming at you.
Here we go, game time.
Yep.
one of the key components of many of the tributaries that are considered good salmon rivers or salmon streams in the Pacific Northwest is large wood. There's all these geomorphic processes that contribute wood to streams in a natural setting. Clearly, building a reservoir takes away that natural process, but once that wood cycle is disrupted, it takes some time to recover. What I'm talking about is the cycle of a tree seed growing into a mature tree that then for one reason or another falls into a stream. That tree then being in the water, available and useful as habitat to bugs and the fish that eat the bugs and the juvenile fish that like to get back into branches and hold there for cover. That tree persists there until one, it either decays, or two, a large flood event comes through and moves it out of the system. So the process of loading wood into streams is just an effort to get that stream to a point where it can support a healthy fish population, a healthy bug population, beneficial water quality faster.
So
we're at 21.
Do we do like 4 slash piles maybe in here, and do we put one up top by the head cut? Yeah, let's put some slash up there.
Large wood placement will take place in 2 phases. Phase 1 is underway, and then as we go in next year to do our hands-on kind of constructed restoration efforts on those same tributaries, we may replace some of that wood, reconfigure its location or its orientation.
Wad downstream, then wad and up this way.
While at the same time we're bringing in more wood, we'll grab that wood and place it in all the locations where we know it will provide the most benefit to fish. And then throughout the next 5 to 10 years, as our tenure evolves on the project, into the future where the trees that are placed now will and are expected to decay over time, while at the same time the vegetation that we're planting and the vegetation even that's coming up on its own in those streamside riparian corridors replace the erosion protection and immediate habitat benefit of that large wood. Right now, the salmon in the Klamath River are up against a wall. They've been just beat down for the past 100+ years. And so there's not a whole lot of time left to provide high quality habitat for that recovery of that species. Placing this wood is just the first step in recovering in-stream habitat for Klamath River salmon. Like the old adage goes, if you build it, they will come. There's no doubt in my mind that we have built it and they are on their way back. Past those dam footprints to these tributaries in places they haven't been for over 100 years. There's a red. There's a red. There's a salmon under a log. How cool. How cool. Here we are, about a month out from final full dam removal, and fish that look just about as good as you could hope for are actively spawning and have been for 2 weeks up here in Spencer Creek. Of course, we all felt this was going to be a spot that salmon we're going to find eventually, but for it to be this soon is pretty incredible. As we've been standing here, I hear osprey calling in the background. I'm sure osprey would love to eat some of these salmon, but these salmon have these trees to get underneath of. You know, the benefit is not just the sorting of sediment, the promotion of hydraulic forces that will deepen these channels over time. They provide cover. They provide cover for these fish as they're moving up through the system, and they will 100% provide cover for the juveniles that emerge from these reds in a few months. One important thing to keep in mind is this is not intended to be the final condition of this tributary. This is just the start of its recovery. But times like this are an opportunity to reflect on what's actually needed to promote restoration and recovery of a waterway and of species. There is something to be said of just getting out of the way. But having done this long enough, that's not always an option. And so on this project, we're taking a range of measures to promote the recovery of habitat that will assist in the recovery of salmon and steelhead and other anadromous fish. Here at Spencer Creek, we placed wood. And there is a high probability that if given a year or 2 or 3 and the right hydrologic conditions from snowpack and rainfall in the upper watershed of Spencer Creek, that a channel would form that's a little deeper in the middle and a little narrower, and these fish that are right now skinning up on their bellies with their backs exposed, we wouldn't see that after a few years. And maybe that'll be the case. If that doesn't happen, we'll come out here and we'll help that process along its way by taking a little bit of that sediment out the middle of the channel and moving it up to the margin and creating a little bit of a deeper flow path. We'll help promote the recovery of that process, but we don't recover the process. We help promote the recovery of the process. These trees have started the process. The fish are already using it. And over the months, if we need to, pardon the pun, dig in a little bit to help the stream and help this channel recovery process along, we'll be here to do it. No salmon has actively spawned in Spencer Creek for over 100 years. Yet here we are. We're watching the recovery of the Klamath River in real time.